What's up, all you old school, new school loving motherfuckers? It's that time of the week again. It's another ridiculous episode of Old School, New School Comedy Podcast, and I am your trashy ass host, Christy Miller. And happy July, like happy 4th. It's 4th of July weekend, so blow up shit. Fuck yeah, dude. Set things on fire, because you know you guys are good at it. Hold my beer is going to be the topic this week. So. Yeah. I love seeing videos of people blowing shit up for no apparent reason and hurting themselves. That's my favorite. When they hurt themselves, I love those videos.
There should be a tally of fingers lost.
We should have a poll. We should do a TikTok poll. Yeah. Write in with your bets.
What's the most likely finger and how many? Yeah.
Each state has a poll of how many fingers they blow off this weekend. Oh, I can't wait. And this week's guest is one of my favorite people. I know I say that every fucking week, but this is truly one of my favorite people. When I came back to here, we actually recorded this live at the comic strip, and he's one of the night managers here for the past 6 years, and he's always had my back, and I love this guy, and it's just a nice perspective of someone who's not a piece of shit getting on stage every night, but has to deal with us pieces of shit getting on stage every night.
Shit adjacent.
Yes. Jake, what is your last name? I've never known.
Mutch is my
Jake
last
Mutch.
name.
Oh, Jake ain't much.
Right, yeah, that's the whole...
Ladies and gentlemen, Jake Mutch.
Hey. Yay! Tugging at my collar for everybody.
And he's got a Philly shirt on, so I will be setting him on fire after the show.
Along with everybody on the way here. Yeah.
Oh, but what's his face? Whose dad is it that was on the Phillies?
Somebody's dad?
No, there was the hot guy on the Phillies. I think he's first baseman, the white kid.
I have no idea. I think
hot, and his dad is super hot.
This was like a...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because his dad is super hot, and I can't think of his name, because, you know, I don't care about names when they're hot.
Yeah.
Who cares if they even speak English? So
it's Face ID. Yeah.
Exactly. Just touch this, you fucking asshole. Just steal my home plate, you know what I'm saying?
Hey.
So, Jake, you have been the night manager here at the comic strip for the past 6 years.
Yeah, just about.
And you have seen everything.
I have seen close to everything.
Yeah, and in the comedy world, if those who don't know, we are fucked up. And it is an underworld of filth and disgust and disdain and disrespect and lack of empathy and low self-esteem and, you know,
yeah, all that.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. That's my closer.
Yeah. That's those are you guys are the like main employees, I would say, to most outsiders. It's like they all work here. Like customers will think that you guys work here.
Yeah.
And then and the staff is just kind of rolling. But
yeah, they're just kind of extras in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just there just in case there's no laughing.
Yeah.
Show up. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thank God for the wait staff, because sometimes when a crowd is stiff, I will drag you guys in.
Yeah.
It's so funny. But so you've been here for like 6 years. So, you know, this is a legendary club. You know, this is, you know, I did my album here, Brutally Yours on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, you know, the nice little
streaming
plug.
everywhere. Yeah.
And I used to do my monthly show here when I used to have the other podcast, Celebrity, with Mark Riccadonna.
Right.
We used to do the monthly show live, and that was a lot of fun. And then him and I just got too busy and had to can that, which sucks, but we'll do it again. Yeah. And so your perspective on stand-up is very interesting to me, because you're not one of us. And when you're one of us, like when you're a comic, we have our total, I'm better than everybody else, and why does he have stage
you're
time?
All in the game.
Yeah. You know, how come he got a spot and I didn't? You know, that bullshit. I always think that. Who am I kidding?
You have to have that competitive edge.
And it's like, I mean, I know who I am, and I know what I do, and I know how I can throw down, but I'm not always everybody's cup of tea, not audience-wise, but Booker-wise. So I've been told I'm too old to play clubs. Yeah, and I started laughing, and you know, my favorite was when I used to open for Paul Mooney at Caroline's for many years, and then when that ended, and I started to branch off on my own, you know, because I was spoiled rotten, you know, featuring for the legend Paul Mooney 4 nights a week, so there was my fucking bills paid. And then that ends, and it's like, oh, now I got to go out and hustle. And I had literally club bookers tell me, oh, you opened for Paul Mooney? Yeah, that's a bit much. You're too much for our room. And one of those actually does independent shows here.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
huh. Well, I get to think about that later, but that's fucking
Do
weird.
not mention names.
I will not.
That was the clue.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do not.
Oh my God. Oh, wow. I'm embarrassed. That was good, though.
Thank you.
Yeah. Heard loud and clear. That's weird, though.
Isn't that weird? But
It's
whatever.
weird.
You know,
Anyway.
it's all good in the hood.
I
It's
think
fine.
bookers are in the same thing. I think once you cross that thing into Booker Town, you
Right.
then you can, like, the ego builds up there, too. Because you're like, now I have my opinion on comedy out here for
Right.
everyone. Yeah.
And now I have power.
Right. Yeah.
And now I get to tell you what I think of you because you either kiss my ass or you don't kiss my ass.
Right.
And that all balances out the scale of what I think of you.
Right. Even if it's just one, because I've thought about, I was like, if I had one show to book here, there are still so many comics I'd have to leave off, and it just makes that dynamic start right away.
Oh, yeah.
So that's got to be, yeah, I was like, that's all rough.
It's tough. Like,
Yeah.
you know, some bookers, they book basically on how many followers do you have on TikTok? And I deleted my
was
TikTok,
like,
so I have 0.
Yeah, I had an email from somebody who worked, not a booker, I found out, but
Okay.
somebody who worked at Banana or Splits or something in Jersey.
Bananas.
Bananas. There you go. Like as soon as my TikTok went viral, I got like somebody was like, "Hey, do you do comedy? Would you go up here?" And because they saw on my social media I had the comic strip stuff.
Of
And so I had
course.
to be like, "I'm not a comic at all." But it was so funny because it's the reverse. I was like, somebody's
Yeah.
reaching out to somebody
Yeah,
who's
because
never
you have
fucking done this.
followers and it says comic strip. And so tell them how you went viral and why you're viral. His talent, his hidden talent.
Yeah. It is hidden in the fact that I don't
Pussy.
tell people. Yeah, it is pussy. I'm very talented with pussy. Just one though. Just one in particular.
Just one hairy pussy.
Yeah, well, it started when she was 1. So, fuck.
Is your pussy a rescue?
She is. Yeah, she was.
Yes. Was she beaten?
My pussy was taped in a box and left on a doorstep.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, just beat up, but she's doing great now. Yeah, lovely coat. But it was actually like right before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do 14-hour Saturdays here, and so like I just would get home
That's
at
such a normal day in a comedy club.
yeah, I would get home at like 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and my cat would just be there. And I taught her how to do tricks when I got her, because why not?
Of course.
So yeah, but so I think I was probably like fucked up too. I was like drunk at home. I took a video of the cat giving me a high five, and I sang at her, and I was like, "You're the smartest cat in the world," and like that was, and then that I woke up and that was at like some million views.
Holy
and then,
shit.
yeah, and then I cultivated it painstakingly into I take videos of my cat and then write literal narrative songs over them.
Oh, how
just about
hilarious.
whatever else is going on too. It slowly is less and less about the cat and more just like everything fucking sucks. Here's a video of the cat and a song. But that's like my side hustle, I guess you could call it. Or this is. I don't know which one it is at this point. But
Yeah, well, it's all side hustle until something pays everything.
right.
It's all a side hustle until you don't need a side hustle anymore.
Exactly. So right now it's just hustling for, just for the wearing me out sake. But comics have responded to that in a weird way too, usually. Like, the late great Vic Henley.
Oh,
Yeah.
we love Vic Henley.
I love Vic Henley. I have a tattoo that I got for Vic Henley after he passed away.
God.
So yeah, just to say how ingratiated I've become into the comedy world, it's that.
Yeah.
It's tattooed on me. But what the fuck was I saying? Oh, Vic Henley. When he found out about the TikTok thing, he was like, "All right, show me one." I was like, "No, Vic, you're not." He's like, "Well, you got to do it now." Like, I was like, "Okay," and he was like, "Wow, that's got to be the dumbest thing I've ever seen." And like, I was like, "Yeah, it's not clever. There's
nothing creative about it."
They're like, "I'll make like clever lines in a song, but that's not like the same as comedy clever." I was like, so I was like, the crutches there must just be nuts for him to see. He's like, "You got music, short form video, and a cat to be funny."
Yeah.
So he would just shit on me for that, which I always respected, because I've seen TikTokers that I know from TikTok come here and get spots on certain produced shows.
Yep.
And I'm like, and I get all butthurt about it, because I'm like, no, you're not allowed to just come off TikTok and do this.
Yep,
You gotta
but that's the booking game now. Like, it's the followers, and I'm so bad because I'm 150 years old. It's like technology for me is like, oh, a typewriter, that's cute. Can
Yeah.
But it's like I haven't figured out the algorithms. I'm getting better at it. Like things of mine are starting to push more, but I just need like one big exposure. And then like I was just did a show this last week on Gas Digital. I was a guest on the show, and people were writing me on Instagram after the show going, how have we not heard about you?
Right.
And I was like, because nobody's opened the door for me. I'm an idiot, like I don't, I'm not a traditional comic and as a female comic, how to get spots.
Right.
I'm not that girl. I'm not the one that's posting selfies and tit pics and ass pics and flirting with everybody that has a show. I don't have time for that. I'm writing jokes.
Right. Yeah.
I'm working my
funny.
ass off. Yeah. And it's just so funny. So people act so shocked. And I'm like, that's so fucking crazy to me. Like it's still to this day at 2023. I mean, when I started in 1995, that was normal. The casting couch was the normal thing. Like that's, but growing up at the Comedy Store like I did under Mitzi Shore, she didn't play that game.
Right.
It's Mitzi fucking Shore. So I had to, work my ass off. You had to have a solid hour or at least a solid 45 before you could even showcase for her, because spots at the store were 15 and 20 minutes.
Right.
And I'd watch these young jacks go up in front of her to showcase, and she could tell right. That woman had an eye. Like she saw things we didn't see, and I'm like, who really? And then I'm like, oh, she was right. It hit. But like she would know right away if you were going to do every single joke you ever wrote in your entire life in that 15-minute set, and you were going to struggle. She knew, because she knows the rhythm. I mean, that was her. This is her life, and like things like, people she saw that I was like, no fucking way, that guy sucks, and now he's one of the biggest comics in the world, Sebastian Maniscalco.
Hey.
And he's a good dude, but I never thought he was funny. But that's not my style, so it's fine. But he has his nit. Look at him now, and she fell in love with him when we were like, really? He has no jokes. He's adorable, but he has no. Now look at him. He's crushing. Like he's one of the most successful guys that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
He's selling out 5 shows at the Garden. He did a movie with De Niro. I mean, she knew something. She saw that.
I forgot about that. That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, good for him. But I'm proud of him. I think it's awesome. I don't hate on people like that. I'm not one of those comments, because a lot of them, I'm sure you hear it here night after night after night. That. Oh, why do they have spots? I'm better than them.
Yeah, I mean, even well, like that's I think there's a good way. Like when I hear that, I'm not immediately like fuck that person for that, because I'm like because I'm like you're supposed to. I like people that are competitive, because like I don't do that well at all. I'm more like, if you'd like to go in front of me, like I'll go 3 people behind you in line, and because like I can't. So like when people have some like medal, I'm like nice. Like it shows you can give a fuck about it. So like a good example of that. Sebastian Maniscalco related. I think Matt Reese has opened for him before.
Oh, I'm sure he has.
But I see Matt Reese do that, and not in an aggressive way, but he'll be like, fuck, like, like he's like, I'm trying to do this, and now I don't have time. If somebody's running, like, just like complaining about normal comedy things that you would think, like, okay, like, some people are going to run the light, sometimes this is going to get weird, or you're going to get bumped. But to be mad about it every time, I'm like, that's good, because you're still thinking forward,
right? And also to get mad about it every time is one thing, because at the Comedy Store we would get bumped all the time by celebrities. If a celebrity walked in, there's your fuck you in your spot. You're not going on. If Eddie Griffin walked in, if Dice walked in, if Carlos Mencia walked in, if Rogan walked in, you were getting bumped.
Yeah.
Damon Wayans would walk in and do it 2 hours. Chappelle. All these guys would walk in and bump the shit out. I'm like, oh, well, there goes our spots. Good night.
Yeah.
But we'd hang out just in case. So the rule was, if you touch the mic,
rub shoulders or whatever. Yeah.
You touch the mic, you got paid. So we'd hang out.
Oh.
You get off stage. We'd walk up, touch the mic. All right, sign me on. I get my little $15. That's what it was back then.
Oh, it has increased so dramatically since.
Right? Yeah. But it was just so funny. Like, I was bumped a lot. Like, we had, but I wasn't. I would get frustrated. Like, God damn it, you already have it. You're already a success. But then I'm thinking about it from a business standpoint. I'm mature enough to step out of myself and look at the big picture. And I'm like, well, on a business standpoint, if this was my comedy club, I would want the celebrities to come in, because then that draws attention and that draws desire. Like, ooh, we should go there. Who's going to show up? So like our Sunday nights was potluck. and pop-ins. So you never know who was going to show up. You know, all of us schleps would show up just to get stage time, but you never know who was going to come in. And always celebs would come in, even during the darkest time. So on a business standpoint, it was good for us in the long run, because then more people would start showing up to the club and building up that darkness that when nobody went to comedy clubs and we were hurting. And then it started to build this frenzy, like we should go to the comedy club because celebrities pop in. So then our crowd slowly over the years started growing and growing from 95, and I left in 2005, and then the boom hit again in 2008. But it was because people like Dice or Sia or Damon Wayans or Chris Rock would show up because they could.
Yeah.
And people wanted to see that. So you would hope that they would show up and people would want to see, because then you could get on that ride that coattail waves on the stage, like ride their wave of killing. And also you would hope that they would see you. And so, like, for me, it's like, oh, fuck, I'm getting bumped. This sucks because I want to work on shit. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? If I had the ability, I'd bump your ass too.
Yeah. And it would help everybody eventually.
Yeah,
asses in seats.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yep.
So
create a frenzy inside of these four walls and people will come. If you only book on this is me, I don't know, because you're a younger generation and you manage the club, so you see things differently.
Right.
But I always feel like if you have a lot of followers, it doesn't make you funny. And not all the time is it going to put butts in seats.
Right.
Because these followers are from all over the place. You think they're all going to come to New York and watch you for 10 minutes? Get the fuck out of here. That's so unrealistic.
No.
You know, you got to know where your demographic is, and then it works. But on the other hand, it's like you have to have an act to get people to actually show up. Because I've watched TikTokers not fill a room, and they say they could fill a room with their 2 million followers, and then you have to feature for them, and then you blow them off the stage, or the club asks you to do longer because they don't have the time to cover.
Yeah, or
So-
like the audience is 80% their people. Like, that are like watching them do stand up for the first time.
Yeah.
It just becomes like a bringer disguised as a headline.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
It's a TikTok bringer.
TikTok bringer. Oh, that sounds fucking awful.
That sounds terrifying. Oh,
Sounds
God.
awful being involved, like being somebody who could be on a TikTok bringer show is also a little bit. Yeah, that's like part of me is a little dead in there.
Yeah, it killed me a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's so funny to watch, and then you have to fill the time, and it's like, well, why don't you just put funny comics on? And because a lot of clubs don't want to spend the money on marketing, like they don't want to get it on the radio because it costs money for advertising. And I understand all that, but at the same time, if you create a frenzy, like if you create this like niche of hardcore good, I mean, the good thing about the comic strip, it's one of the last clubs in New York City that actually books us old heads.
Yeah, I was like, I don't see. I mean, you do see a lot of like the same faces here. I guess then that's 6 years of me doing that.
Yeah.
But it's also like I like that there's like an established, because I know for sure like people will come back to see the same comic again, even do the same material.
It's like listening to your favorite song.
Right. Yeah. So like it's good to have like also just the experience. I was like, if younger comics, I can never trust to kill on any room, you know, because I'm worried about the show, even though I can't do anything about it the whole night. I'm always like, I was like, are we getting laughs? And like, you know, the same.
Yeah. Well, you're the manager. You have, because then you have to deal with it.
Yeah. But like, even if everything's going right, like as far as like, oh, drinks are going out, like people are here. If I'm like, oh, that joke was funny and like that comic didn't like get the response from the audience, I'm like, fuck, like should I have said something like, or should I have seated them differently? Like I'll get in my head like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. Cause I'm like, I was a fan before I I walked in here, but that's just like how I think about it. But if I have like an older comic, or at least a comic who's got like maybe even like over 15 years of experience, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be fine today because at least you'll get something out of like these people. Yeah. So
100%.
Yeah. So I like that about us. Like where I was like, I like that I have like anchors in some of these shows.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the produced ones, and and yours and Mark's show. That's my favorite produced show.
Oh, thank you. Even though it doesn't happen anymore because we both got busy.
Yeah.
But it'll happen again. It's whatever.
Yeah.
It'll
anyway.
happen.
Yeah.
That was a fun show, though.
It was a fun show. Yeah.
But we had all heavy hitters on, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't like, for me, when I put on a live podcast show, we do stand up and then we close with the podcast.
Yeah.
And I don't like shitty comedy. I'm sorry. I have no patience for shitty comedy. I don't care if you've only been doing it 1 year or 100 years. If you suck, you suck. And
can you tell like right away?
Yes.
So like I've always been curious about that. So like
Yes.
even
yes.
Okay.
Because I'm such a huge fan of stand-up. Like
Right.
I'm in love with this craft now, 27 years in, more than I was when I started. And I never thought that would be possible. Like I'm such a fan of good comedy. And when I watch a lineup and I don't like the same type of people. Like I'm not a big female show kind of girl.
Yeah, I think
because
it's
it becomes one note, or it's like an all black show or all Latino show. I like it when we're all mixed together. There's a woman, there's a man, there's like a white guy, there's a black guy, there's a Latino woman, there's a gay person, there's a trans person. I love the variety because then it gives the audience all these different perspectives and it keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
To me, that's just me, but I love all kinds of comedy. Like I love, if it's funny, it's funny, and you can always tell right away. I think because I've been doing it so long, and then I came up under Mitzi Shore also. You can just tell when someone and I used to judge contests a few years back, and a comic would go on stage and I would know right away if they had it or not. And I could feel it. I'd listen to the joke rhythm, how they set it up. I'm like, that's very clever. Even if the audience didn't get it, I'm like, they're just retarded. Like that audience sucks. That was a good joke. That was a well-written joke because I can hear it. I don't judge jokes or comics off the audience. If a comic is bombing and I can hear their jokes and the timing is really good, they're just not connecting. It's just, I know that's a good comic and I know those are good jokes. It was just an off night.
Yeah.
Versus someone who just sucks and shouldn't be on stage. And I've had young comics, what did you think of my act? I said, quit comedy.
Damn.
Yeah, I said, quit comedy.
I've heard Richie say stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's Richie Tankin, who is the founding father of this club, who is no longer with us. God bless.
Of him, if anyone knows.
Oh, please, let's do your best, Richie Tankin.
All right, so like, if you're gonna get booked at the comedy club, you gotta be able to tell jokes.
So that's exactly what he sounded like. He was the man too. Yeah. So I'd hear him like because he'd still watch the auditions for like every single week for I don't know how many years he was since it opened. So almost 40 years of him watching new people like every Tuesday.
Right.
But yeah, there were some people who's like,
I don't think this is for you.
Yeah, like, you gotta pick something up. And I'd be sitting at the desk and I'd be like, oh damn, like that person's world is probably over. And he's like, no, they just need to know. He's like, I don't want them to waste their time.
Yeah,
either.
or mine.
Yeah, or any. Yeah,
Literal.
Yeah, right.
But did you hear about the story of Richie Tankin and Kevin Hart?
I have heard a little bit about. I've heard that he didn't pass him at one point, and then Kevin said something like he would never come back here. Or he would never perform here.
Well, Keith Robinson, who is a legend in the New York comedy scene, if you don't know him, look him up. He's amazing, and he's so polished, and you would not expect it. And you're like, why is this guy like an unsung hero? And he's done everything, but he's not a household name. He's like one of those guys. He's a comic too, I think.
A Vic as well, yeah.
Vic Henley was another one. Oh God, Vic Henley used to make me piss my pants.
Yeah, he fucking.
Oh my God, fucking hilarious! And when he would go off on things.
Yeah, just him angry.
Him angry is like the greatest thing I ever experienced.
He was just, and then he started doing like he cut an album right before he passed away, and he was like he was saying that like he's switching it up to be like he's like I'm finding that like as I get older I'm just funnier telling stories and just feeling things about things. He's like I stopped writing so many punchlines. He's like I feel like I just know how to do it now.
Yeah, because he did it for 100,000 years.
Right, and I'm like that's awesome. That's like that's the peak.
So pick up his album and check out Keith Robinson. So Keith Robinson got him the showcase here, and was like Kevin Hart. Oh. Yeah. So he showcases and Richie sits him down and says,
I don't think this is for you. Also, I can't even see you. You're so short. Get up on a bar stool.
Yeah, pretty much that. And then Kevin got pissed and left and said, I'll never go to that club again. Now look at Kevin Hart. So
Arenas.
It's like, hello, superstar.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, you don't always get it right. And you're not always everybody's cup of tea.
Right.
And I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but it's like the problem is like that I run into with some bookers, and this is why I was bringing that up, is that and other club owners that I've worked with in the past for many, many years, they have the right idea. They're like, I don't have to like you. They're like, I could even
Right.
hate your stand-up. It's the crowd's reaction that I'm paying attention to. And if you're killing in my room, even if I don't agree with you, I'm booking you.
Yeah.
And there was comics that I've had owners tell me that. They're like, yeah, I'm really not into your stuff, but you destroy my room, so I'm going to book you. You're funny. So the crowds love you, so why would I not book you?
Right.
So, and that's to me is the right idea. That means you can take your ego out of the situation and actually book your room accordingly. But now with the whole, like I remember when Ashton Kutcher, like when Twitter was first new,
Yeah.
and back when Punk'd was out, and I know I've told this on the podcast before, he was like the first guy to get 1 million followers on Twitter. Like that was unheard of. It was back, what, 2009,
Yeah, that
around
sounds
that
about
time,
right.
2010, around that time. And he gets 1 million followers, and everybody's like, whoa, 1 million followers? Like, what the fuck is going on? So comedy clubs stopped booking according to their roster and started looking at everybody's Twitter accounts. And started
That early too.
that
really?
early.
Wow.
And because they didn't want to, it was still part of, like I said, around 2008, 2009, the comedy boom started to come back.
Right.
And
Probably with
everybody was
YouTube and
suffering.
everything.
Yeah. And YouTube came out, and, so clubs started looking at that thinking, well, we don't have to pay money for marketing because we're already hurting. Like the clubs were suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, let's just get people with a lot of Twitter followers. So they started looking at all the comedians' Twitter followers, and they would book according to that. And then they started to find out that doesn't really work. And then comics got hip to that at the same time and started buying followers. You
Yeah.
know? So all of a sudden, everybody had 100,000 followers like
Right.
overnight, and they get like 3 likes on their posts.
Yeah. And the
So-
blue check thing too.
Yeah,
Also,
all
even if you
that.
don't- yeah.
Oh yeah, all that stuff. So like that totally shifted how comedy clubs book their clubs, and it drives me fucking batshit crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, like, I don't know. There's well, like you said before, like especially now, there's those numbers aren't accurate because I would say maybe 5% of your following is going to be in the city you're in at this point.
Yeah,
if you do
less
blow
than
up.
5%.
Right. Oh, but has there been anybody who's blew up like that and then became a really good comic?
Yes,
So, like, who would that be?
and he's not my cup of tea,
Ah, okay.
but he's someone that blew up on TikTok or Snapchat. It started off
Snapchat.
with the filters, and he would play his
Oh.
family, and those blew up. And he got huge, and then started doing
the guy Tony.
Anthony Rodia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kid actually became a good comic. And he found his niche. He's got his East Coast Italian thing. He sells out the Stress Factory. He sells out Governors. He even sold out Caroline's when he was here before they closed.
Wow.
The summer before. And I was like, oh, and all the comics, fuck Anthony Rodia. He is not a fucking comic. He's a fucking video Snapchat with the filters. And I go, yeah, he found a way to break through. You hating motherfuckers. I'm not a fan of his either. He's kind of a dick, because he thinks he's who he is. But
Right.
at the same time, he actually did the work to be a comic. And he busted his ass and actually did it. And I'm actually really proud of him.
Yeah, I think that's like the prove yourself moment. It's like come
Yeah.
back and work.
Put
then.
up or shut
Yeah.
up.
That's the same with the TikTok kids. They'd be here like sometimes on the mic too. You get like I recognize people. I was like, you have a TikTok thing, don't you? And they'd be like, yeah. Nobody sees my face because it's just pussy. It's just my pussy out there. Yeah. Only. Yeah. Waist down. Yeah. But
Grinder.
hey, but they just don't come back. Like they're not going to last, or it seems like they won't last.
Well, it's kind of like that. You know how the old days it was 15 minutes of fame. Andy Warhol said everybody has 15 minutes of fame. Well,
Right.
now it's down because everything's so quick. I always tell people it's 30 seconds of fame because all the 30-second videos or the 1-minute videos, 1
Yeah.
minute of fame. Like a viral video will go viral, but then what does it really do for you now? Like nobody cares anymore because they're kind of burnt out on it.
Yeah,
like
you need
it's
the next thing, or
yeah.
you're
or you
fucked.
got to have something to back it up.
right.
And that's the next, and it's like, and that's what happened in the first wave of the Twitter thing when was talking about earlier. Then they started realizing, oh, these kids don't have any follower, and these guys that have followings aren't really that funny. They fade off into the distance.
Yeah.
Like everybody's like all the comics are panicking right now with these clubs and the booking and trying. Like I put out emails out to clubs like, hey, I'm building a tour around my new album. I'd like to set up, and they'll respond and they're like, oh, well, you don't have enough. Can you fill the room? You don't have enough followers. Like, I only have like 3,300 on Instagram. I mean, it's
I
nothing.
could fill a room though.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
not,
like,
but you know what I mean? They're not
Right.
in the same city.
Right. Yeah.
So I would need to get some marketing and stuff. So they look at that because they don't want to put the energy into that, as opposed to the old days when they would do radio and put it out there, or put flyers on their things like coming up next month, and they'd have the calendars out like the way Caroline's used to do it and stuff,
Yeah.
and all the other clubs in the country. But now they're just banking on that. But it's like I tell comics to just ride it out, because these are unsustainable performers.
Yeah.
They're not going to, they're winning the battle, but they're going to lose the war.
Yeah.
And the next couple of years, it's going to be something else. And that's going to be the next thing. And it's like, now it's going to become like, who's funny? But it goes in cycles. We went through this already. And then everything went back to booking funny comics for a few years, and then the pandemic hit.
Right. Because it's like the sifting for gold thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna weed out people eventually.
Exactly. So-
once the fad wears off.
Yeah, I just keep moving forward, and I had people that I had. Oh, this is one of my favorite things. I love when people hate me online when the trolls come.
I
Oh,
also love that. Yeah.
It makes me laugh so hard. So one of them said, I'm going to save this, but like the things they come up with have given me such great ideas for tours and albums and jokes, and I'm like, keep it coming. That
Yeah.
shit's hilarious to
You're
me.
working with me creatively.
Yeah, like you're feeding me, dude. This is great because my motto in life is, if it doesn't pay my rent, it doesn't put clothes on my back, it doesn't put food on my table, and it doesn't eat my pussy, it has no power over me. So
That's a good
so
motto.
when you just kind of put it in perspective like that, like people get so upset when someone doesn't like them. Like, I know you being a manager here at night after night, there might be some empty chairs in the room, or there might be someone that doesn't like that comic, and you'll see that comic struggle to get that person to like them,
Yeah.
or they cow down to the empty chairs and not play to the tables that are there supporting.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest pet peeve, by the way. And they let that eat them up, and then they just fucking self-destruct. And it's like, dude, play to the
You get,
tables
like,
that love
stuck
you.
inside the bomb. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, play to the tables that love you, ignore the one that doesn't. And I love watching, and that's how you can tell the experience, which like here, thank God that there's a lot of old jacks on these lineups, which is great because we know how to handle an empty room.
Yeah.
And we're going to put on a show anyway. There's nights I did late nights at the Comedy Store back in the day. There's 2 people in the room. It's 1 a.m. I have the Kinnison spot. I'm closing it out. And we've been open since 8 o'clock. And
Wow.
those 2 in the front row, tourists, drunk all night, have heard
Just
every...
rocking from the whole show.
Yeah.
Okay.
And have heard every joke known to mankind, because we have 15-minute spots, and then sometimes someone will do 20 below, whatever.
Uh-huh.
But so you think from 8 o'clock to 1 a.m., that's 5 hours. And that's 4 comics an hour. If we stick to the time, that's 20 comics they have sat through.
Yeah.
And you got to close it out with something good.
For 2.
I'm
Yeah,
telling
that's-
you, and that was one thing Mooney always taught me when I first started. Like the moment I started stand up, he said, homie, it doesn't matter if there's 1 person or 1,000 people, do your show. So I always had that in my mind from the day I started stand up because of him. And if I did 20 minutes and crushed those 2 people and
Nice.
gave them a fucking show, because a lot of people I know before them, I also remember too, is a lot of them probably cow down and sat and went, well, what do you want to talk about? I don't know. What do you want to talk about? It sounds
Yeah.
like a night of trying to figure out where we're going for dinner, you know? And it's just like, no, give them a fucking show. It's not
Yeah.
their fault.
Yeah, show up for them. Yeah, or get them, do everything you can to get
Like,
them involved.
I don't
mean,
see
like,
your name on the marquee bringing in thousands of people,
Right.
but these 2 people are here for you, so you better treat them as such.
Yeah.
Because then they'll tell their friends and their friends, and so on and so on and so on. But it's
Yeah.
like, it's have that positive attitude and play to those people. But I've watched night after night these comics that just shit the bed on stage because they get intimidated by buy an empty room.
Yeah, and this is a big room here to not have
Yeah.
people in it, and especially without there's a curtain that used to go across when we didn't
Yeah.
have enough people to fill up
course.
because it can fill 200, and
Yeah.
we're never gonna on a weekday.
Right.
But now we don't have that, so it's just this gaping room.
Yep.
And more often, I would say most of the time, you have like. I'd say an average on a Sunday for people, maybe like 20,
Yeah.
if nothing special is going on. But it's
Yeah.
all about, just work with them. Even bringing them into the room, I do if I know there's not going to be a ton of people in the show, I'm like, guys, there's not going to be, I don't want them expecting this room to fill up,
Right.
sort of thing. So I'll say we're all going to get to know each other and then seat them at a table.
Yep.
Or try to break ice or try to warm up before a warm up happens.
No, but that is so vital, and that's what people don't understand about comedy clubs. When it's a light night,
Mhm.
you can't let people sit wherever they want to sit.
No, yeah, you can't
And
let people hide.
can't keep that fourth wall up. You can't keep that barrier. I'm the seater and you're the person. You've got to break the ice and make them, even on a packed night, make them feel good, because then they come in all, wow, we were bonding with the manager and he sat us. And this is,
Yeah.
oh my God, you sat, and you get them involved and you seat them accordingly. The seating of a room is vital to a success
It's
of a
my
show.
least favorite thing to do because of that reason. Yeah.
Yep.
Seating sucks.
Seating sucks, and you can't give them an out. You cannot give these people an out.
No.
And you gotta sit. Here you go, sit here.
It's policy, which it isn't, but I'm
No.
you got to be up front. Brian McFadden has a thing about that. He's like, comedy's the only thing where you'll pay tickets to sit as far from the stage as possible.
Yep.
And that's always been weird to me.
Yeah, it's like the back of the bus syndrome, like the cool kids sit in the back. No,
you should be.
You should sit up
Rosa
front.
Parks that shit
yeah,
and
hello,
get up there.
grab your purse and sit
Yeah.
in front and don't move. Be like, bitch, this is my seat now.
Yeah, and I think, obviously it's because they don't want to be.
They don't want to be. Yeah, but now with TikTok,
crowd work is the only thing now.
Now everybody wants to be made fun of, and I'm like, where did you people come from?
Right.
It's great. You know me. I don't care what's happening in the room. I'm going to attack.
Yeah.
And I don't have any fear or any filter, and I don't have set crowd work written like a lot of comedians do. A lot of road comics have set crowd work.
Yeah, I didn't even know that existed until I was here long enough to hear crowd work.
And all of a sudden you'll hear the
and I was
repeat.
like, no way.
Yeah.
That's
It's
interesting.
it's like you'll find things at work, and then you'll keep them.
Mm-hmm.
But I usually use the crowd anyway to weave in and out of my jokes. I use the crowd as a segue.
Yeah.
Like I'll grab someone and make it, and then use them as a launch pad for the next bit.
Which you can hear on Christie's album. It's very good. Yeah. It's good.
Oh, yeah,
That's
But it makes it personal.
Yeah.
For me, and it also makes it fun for me, because then I get to bond with this crowd. And I
Yeah.
have so much fun bonding with them and making them part of the show. Then they feel like they got a special show. And now I'm feeling like I'm not doing the same shit night after night, same routine. Like a lot of comics are memorized, not me. I have bullet points and I have bits,
Yeah,
but
and you
it's
can
like
just kinda
they're not in the same order.
Weave
Like,
through them.
you know, I try to write my bits that all of them are closers. That's how I write.
That's good.
Every bit is a closer. So if you have to end, it's a closer, and I try to make them like that.
Yeah.
But it's like now with this crowd work on these videos, like everybody, oh, I don't want to show my material. And I'll put up content, like I'll put up jokes.
Yeah,
and it gets ignored.
Punchlines get
Yeah.
ignored. Yeah, but like half of a crowd work clip will blow up of somebody being like, what did you say? And it's just nothing. You won't get to the comic putting roasting them or whatever. It'll just be the fact that somebody's talking.
Yeah.
And that'll blow up online.
It's so insane.
Yeah, which is and I've loved good crowd work. I think people that are clever like that, like Christy Miller. That's really fun to watch, because it's weaving in and out of what you're already doing, as opposed to there's crowd work clips that are I'm just like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
I mean, there's
oh god, I've heard that joke 10,000 fucking times.
Yeah.
But whatever's happening in the room, I'm going to go after it, because I like to personalize my insults.
Yeah.
I like to personalize roasting the shit out of an audience member.
Yeah.
But I make it fun, and I'm
play
grateful.
people darts.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful that they understand I'm having fun, and it's all positive, and it's crowd work is fun, but I love material, and sometimes people come to clubs and they want crowd work.
Yeah.
So you try to work. I posted a video the other night. I was trying to work on a new bit, and the crowd jumped in, and I said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna tear these people apart."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I never got to work on the bit because I spent the last few minutes dealing with funny shit that was happening, which was great. So like little things like that will stay in the file memory in case there's ever a need for a line like that again. Versus, but I don't have written crowd work.
Right.
But
you're
always,
also like actively gaining new things to do.
New things and new premises. Like the crowds always give me a new premise. Like I'll fuck with something will be going on, or they'll and I always tell them I encourage talk back. Like I'm the comic you can talk back to. Because I'll just destroy you, because it's fun and they love it and we have a good time. And like they always say, I hate when an MC does this. Okay, you guys, you can't talk to the comics. You can talk to me, but don't talk. It's like, don't feed the bear.
Don't limit.
Don't stick your arm out the window or it's going to bite you off. No, let them have fun.
Yeah.
The comic will handle it. If the comic can't handle it, then they should shut the fuck up.
Right. I feel the same way, even as a non-comic. I was like, I have to trust everybody up there, especially with, like, even if it's a heckler who's not into it. If you get somebody who's offended or whatever the fuck, if I can't trust whoever's up there to deal with that, that's going to come back to me.
Yeah, and you're going to have to deal with a whole lot of bullshit
the
issues.
money side of it.
Yeah, and then you got a refund. It's so stupid. I'm so tired of people getting refunds for shit because they get offended. I think people get offended just to get their money back because they're cheap.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I see that a lot.
Go fuck yourselves. You're offended? Then why did you spend $40 because you knew you were going to get offended? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. I was like, if you know you have any place that you're gonna be offended enough to walk out of the room, you shouldn't have walked in. If you're walking on fragile eggshells and wrapped in bubble wrap because you're too scared of air, fucking shut up. Yeah, I mean, people did that with like Book of Mormon on Broadway when it first came out.
They
used to so weird. I was like,
because people want to be victims.
Yeah,
you know that everybody wants to be
money to be a victim.
I'm a victim. Pay attention to me. I wasn't hugged enough as a child. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
you're not a victim. You're a bitch.
Yeah, I think the
victims are people that have been hurt hard or abused, or raped or fucking shot. Those are victims.
Yeah,
Stop
trauma.
It.
Yeah,
it's major trauma. Not like, oh, there's a word. I'm triggered. Oh my god, I need a safe space. Ugh.
Yeah, like there's a safe space in your house, and
and lock yourself in it.
Yeah, stay there.
Yeah, please get out of my club.
Yeah,
because like even with my shows, I always put a disclaimer because I don't want to deal with it. Because we're all having fun. There's nobody's getting hurt. We're all having. I'm the butt of my jokes, so I always put a disclaimer when I do a show. This is a NC-17. If you're easily offended, please don't come in. Nobody will judge you. If you can't handle it, we're gonna have a good time. Life is short, and let's break some balls because we're all gonna die. We're all going out the same way, in a box.
Yeah,
Jack in the Box. Hey, sweetie. Before we wrap this, I love you so much. I could talk to you all fucking night. Oh my god. And before I wrap this up, I usually ask comedians, but since you're a manager of one of the best comedy clubs in New York City, I always ask, is there a joke that a comic has written that you go, fuck, that is so good. I wish I had written that joke.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of times when I think of that. I think when I started doing what is very loosely, I'm going to call musical comedy. I was a Bo Burnham fan for forever.
Oh, nice!
That's like my generation.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah, and he got shit on. And I remember like people, like he would do talks with like Seinfeld and be like, people don't take him like seriously as a stand-up, even though he has fucking good stand-up in the middle of all.
He has some great fucking jokes.
Right. So I would say, but his whole shtick is like right up my alley. I was like, I wish I did any of that.
Is there a particular bit?
No, I would say all of his. I would say of particular bit, I'd have to go to Louis, where he has the one about peanut allergies, and it fucking cracked me. I like Louis C.K.
Okay, because there's Louis Anderson too.
Oh no, yeah, Louis C.K.
Honey, Louis Anderson is what a peanut allergy would look like if it was a person. Good night. Thank you. Nice. I love you, Louis. I love both Louis.
Yeah, but he was. Oh, I must have been like 14 or something. I don't know. But when he was talking about peanut allergies, and it's like if the whole world just like covered their eyes for 2 minutes, we would be done with peanut allergies. That was good. Oh, and what else? I just thought of one that Brian Regan.
We talked about him last week.
Yeah, pluralization of words. It was the moosin thing. That was the first caught me totally off guard. Didn't see where the punch punchline was like bam in the
Those
face.
jokes.
Yeah, and I don't know if one has happened since because I like of just getting so caught off guard with the laugh. So that was awesome. So I'm gonna give him that one.
Brian Regan is great. Like my last week's episode, we talked about him. And it's because he's clean, but he doesn't try to be clean. He's just Brian Regan.
Right, he's just
that silly guy and thinks of weird shit, and that's why he's so beloved, and that's why we all love him. And it's like I was saying the same thing. Like I'm not blue or edgy because I want to be blue and edgy.
Right, it's
just how my mind works. It's how I'm wired, and I just talk the way I talk on stage and off stage. Like this is just who I am. That's how I think of stupid shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't, like a lot of comics, like in clubs and casting, they're like, you're blue, but we love you. Like I could listen to you all night. I had a girl that worked in casting because she goes, it's not about you being blue, Sarah Silverman. It's about Amy Schumer. It's about, oops, pew pew, shots fired.
Yeah,
yeah, they're successful and I'm not. So who's the asshole now? Good night.
We're both working today.
But it's but I just talk the way I talk and think the way I think. I'm not trying. So that's why a lot of people don't find it offensive or like, oh, she's too edgy. They're like, this is hilarious because it's honest, like you said. And when you try too hard, and Regan's another one, like he's so clean and goofy, but he can't help it. That's who he is. And that's why we love him.
Yeah. And you rocked that. There was like a special needs person in your audience a couple months ago. And, and you like
destroyed him.
Yeah, destroyed him. But like in a way, like he was loving it. The whole room was loving it.
Oh,
that's awesome. Like,
I was walking home from the village like a couple weeks ago or a week ago or whatever with the man in my life, and he was walking up the street. We were walking through NoHo, and he goes, "The comedian lady." And it was him. It was Benny.
What?
Yeah. And I hugged him and introduced him to Steve.
That's
and
so cool.
It was so, he's like, you're so fun. It was so sweet. I go, leave it to the fucking retards over here that recognize me. I'm famous.
Yeah, your demographic.
But it's like, because it was so honest and I treated him like a human being and I wasn't dancing on eggshells. And that's a big thing I always tell comics.
Right,
don't be afraid.
Said that, which was awesome.
He goes, I'm going to tell my parents I was in a comedy act.
That was one of the coolest things that I've seen.
But thank you. I appreciate that because that was such a fun night.
Yeah.
Oh, that kid was great. But yeah, I destroyed him.
Yeah.
But it was so much. It worked. It killed rocked the house.
Yeah, they fucking ate it up.
Yeah. Yeah. It was so fun. I'm so glad you were here for that.
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah.
And now my final question of the night is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loves a good street joke. Oh, and so I always ask my guest, tell me your favorite street joke.
Okay. It's one I heard. It's a New York street joke. So it
Even
works,
better.
Right? Yeah. What's the difference between Port Authority bus terminal and a lobster with big tits?
I don't know.
One is a crusty bus station, and the other one is a busty crust station.
Oh, jeez. That gets a rim shot, but yeah, that's great.
That's it. Yeah. I was like, I love a pun. I love a groaner joke.
Oh, I love play on words.
Yeah.
That's...
I'm gonna add in one too.
Do it.
Not even a street joke, but a bit I wish I thought of. Jay London was here.
Oh,
and he
thank you. You'll never see
I'm gonna
me
move over
again.
here. Yeah. He was awesome. I loved him. But he was like, I have a step ladder.
I never knew my real ladder.
Yep. I was like that. I was like, oh, so good.
That one, and also one of my favorite Jay London jokes. I once saw a stationery store move. I once saw, please like me.
Yeah, please. It's awesome. Yeah.
Jay London is, I love that man.
Yeah.
He is the man. Oh, Jake, I'm so happy you were here. Thank you for doing the podcast. Jake Mutch, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Where can they find you and the cat?
You can find me everywhere at Jake Loud 9. That's my handle.
That's your handle everywhere?
Everywhere.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, if you love us, you can follow me at Christy Miller Comedy. And also the podcast has its own little page called Old School, New School Comedy. So follow us there on Instagram. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, New York Podcasts, Acast.
Playing on a boombox outside.
Exactly.
Yeah, wherever.
I'm on my YouTube channel. It's on Christy Miller Comedy on YouTube. It's the podcast playlist on there. And thank you so much for being here, my love.
Aww.
You're a very beloved part of this institution that we call the comic strip. And we will be shouting at you guys next week. Woo. Deuces.
And I'll be here, just not on the podcast. I'll be bartending.
Yes. Managing the bar.
All right.
All right. We love you guys. Deuces.